How do I switch slides? Anyhow, now I want to end with the hadith of Imam al-Sadiq in Usul al-Kafi, transmitted by Fudayl ibn Yasar, one of the very prominent companions of the Imam, which here I describe the tradition as the internalization of Tawheed, again, right? As the implementation of belief, acting out on one's belief. Where Fudayl comes to the Imam, it's a long tradition, I won't be able to go through the whole tradition. Fudayl comes to the Imam, and the Imam tells him, إِنِّنِي كَثِيرًا مَا أَقُولُ مَا عَلَى رَجُلٍ عَرَّفَهُ اللَّهُ هَذَا الْأَمْرُ لَوْ كَانَ فِي رَأْسِ جَبَلٍ حَتَّى يَأْتِيهُ الْمَوْتِ. The Imam says that I have much to say about the one whom God bestows upon him or her. The who can indicate either here. Him or her, the knowledge of the truth of this affair. Hadha al-amr. Right? This is the irfan of God. That they have a sense of conviction, a heartfelt conviction and belief in the oneness of God. So the Imam is saying, I have so much to say about this person, such that even if he was to die, or she was to die at the very top of a mountain, it would not perturb him. It would be of no difference to him. They use these kinds of examples in Arabic to indicate that even if he was to die at the top of a mountain, he or she would not feel lonely. He would not have this sense of istohash, seeking company from someone at that moment in his or her life. And once again, when Imam al-Hussein laid there, now alone on the day of Ashura, alone, this is after everyone had died, laying there alone, covered in his own blood, as it's narrated, that's how many wounds that he experienced and had to take on, what kind of conversation did he have with God? Just imagine, here the Imam is talking about someone who dies at the top of a mountain. So now let's imagine the Imam who died in the desert alone, right? All the women are at the tent. The Imam is alone, and in such a desperate condition. But this irfan of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala fills the void of any loneliness that he may have experienced on the day of Ashura. You following me here? And that's why he says himself, Ibn Ta'us relates in the Malhuf, that he says himself, Al-Qalla mukhaddaban bidami makhsubun ala haqqi. That just before he died, he says that God, I am going to meet you. Look at, this is what's going through his mind as he's about to die. He says, God, I will meet you bathed in blood, covered in blood, with my rights usurped from me. Right? That at that moment, he had no other concern, because he had the arfan of God. Right? His only concern was in what state will he meet God. Right? Everything else was put to the side for that moment in time. That's just before he died. And again, it's not something that we can intellectually grasp. It's a bit heavy, but it's not something that we can it's very hard to intellectually grasp these things. These are experiential things. These are things that the mystics say you must taste in order to understand what they are, right? That I can come here and talk an hour about this, but each and every one of us will have a very different experience, right? But here, my topic is the unity of Imam al-Hussein on the day of Ashura. And the second part of the hadith, now how do I change the slide? Oh, yeah, perfect, okay. Yes, so then the Imam goes on to say, O Fudayl, again talking about unity of mind and soul, right? That, O Fudayl, if someone was to wake up and he has all the money in the world, I'm just paraphrasing everything because I don't want to go on too long. If he was to wake up and have everything in the world, this is good for him. There's no problem with this, right? Because it would not lead him or her into the disobedience of God.
that it would not alter their conviction and their irfan and their ma'rifah of God 1 ounce or 1 bit. So it doesn't make a difference. For the one whom God has bestowed the knowledge of this truth, of this yaqeen, of this tawheed. Then the Imam goes on to say, Lo asbaha. Now this has to refer to Imam Hussein, guaranteed. This has to refer to Imam Hussein. Lo asbaha muqatta'an a'dha'ahu kana dhalika khayran lahu. And if he was to wake up, to arise, with his body parts dismembered, هذا خير له. This is good for him as well. وَيَا فُضَيْلِ إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يَفْعَلُ بِمُؤْمِنٍ إِلَّا مَا هُوَ خَيْرٌ لَهُ. Except, O Fudayl, because God does not do anything for a believer except that it is good for him. Except that it is somehow, in the mystery of God, in the grand plan of God, designed to take him closer to God. Designed to somehow speed along this journey towards resting at the throne of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Thus, none of these things perturb the person. And that's why Imam Ali says that even if you were to put me in hell, it would not change my conviction. Or even if you were to show me your presence, it would not change my conviction. Right? Of course, this is the status of the Imams, but we can hopefully try to maybe attain 1% of this conviction in God. And then he goes on to say, Ya Fudayl ibn Yasar, and this is really, really amazing. He says, لو عدلت الدنيا عند الله عز وجل جناح البعوضة. O Fudayl, if the world had been worth or equivalent to the wing of a mosquito, ما سقي عدوه منها شربة ماء. That the enemies of God, that people like Yazid, right, those that trample on the rights of others, would not be given a sip of water in this world. This is again another very, very profound statement, but if we turn to the khutbah of Sayyidah Zainab in Dimashq, the answer is there. When Yazid was smiling and laughing as he saw her walk in with her bare head in front of him, and she began talking to him, what did she say? Seeing that Yazid is enjoying himself, he's making merry, drinking his wine, as if he has not done what he has done, he has not ordered what he has ordered, as if there's no bother to him at all. Zainab says, فَمَحْلًا مَحْلًا أَنْ نَسَيْتَ قَوْلُ اللَّهِ تَعَالَى means go on, Yazid, مَحْلًا. Continue in your ways if you'd like to. وَلَا يَحْسَبَنَّ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا أَنَّمَا نُمْلِي لَهُمْ خَيْرٌ لِأَنفُسِهِمْ إِنَّمَا نُمْلِي لَهُمْ لِيَزْدَادُوا إِثْمًا وَلَهُمْ عَذَابٌ مُهِينٌ. Where Sayyidah Zainab said, do you not remember the statement of God in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, O disbelievers, do not think that when you are given khair for yourself, here is material enjoyment, that you're continuing in your oppressive ways, in your enjoyment, in your ways of enjoyment. Do not think that this is good for your souls. Verily, it is only done so to increase you and push you more into a state of ithm and sin. And for you is a humiliating punishment. Meaning that when we see oppressors and tyrants enjoying themselves without a care in the world, this is but an illusion. Because they're further and further pushing themselves towards the adab of God, towards the punishment of God, towards that very nasty and depressing end of their life. reflects the absolute unity between thought and action. However you want to say mind, body, soul, however you want to characterize it, right? Between ilm and amal, as the Imam said. Al-ilm wal-amal, irfan muta'allifan. That knowledge and action are two things which are compiled together. They're basically two sides of the same coin, right? And through this stand and the fiery words of Sayyidah Zainab, they demonstrated the intimate relationship between belief and action. Thus, internal unity can be described as an act of aslama and taslim towards God. And this is reflected again